right type of man will help a woman feel safe. So I want to talk about the different ways in which a man can actually help activate that feeling of safety, of security within a woman. The first thing that a man does that helps a woman feel safe is to hold other men accountable. So this can be seen when you and your partner, or let's say this guy isn't even your partner, maybe just a friend at this point, and in front of you, you see a man doing something unacceptable that jeopardizes a woman's safety or that makes her feel uncomfortable. How does he respond to this? Does he step in? Does he say something like, oh my God, that guy's acting like a dog, or that's completely unacceptable? Does he stand up for the ideals in which you believe in? Okay? Because an unhealthy man, an unhealed man, a man who is not going to protect you and make you feel safe, will just look in the other direction. Because that's the same thing that he would do the minute your eyes are turned around. So men keeping other men accountable is huge, because it shows that not only is this man going to keep you safe, but he is upholding that standard within the world. In each space that he's in, because he has that aura, because he has that protective energy, he is going to help maintain the order of that place. I want to give you guys an example. That's why I'm looking down at my notes. For just a small thing that my husband did. When I filmed a video, this was a year or two ago, it's now I think my most viral video. It was on MGTOW, which is a community of men going their own way. And I was receiving the most despicable comments on that video from these men. They were just saying the worst things, you know, the most offensive things. And my husband, literally, he didn't even have a YouTube account. He created a YouTube account just to respond to these people and to put them in their place and to hold them accountable. He was not willing to stand by and watch his wife get dissed or get slandered, even if it was online, even if it had nothing to do with his scope of business. He's not on YouTube, he's not on social media, but because of his protective mechanism, he wants to protect me in every sphere, whether it be in person, online, virtual, he doesn't care. He is my rock. So that is just like the cutest example of one way in which my husband would step in and hold other men accountable, even if he wasn't present. I've since then turned off the comments because it just got out of hand on that video, but I know that deep down, no matter who would come for me online, I know that my husband has my back and that he supports my work, and that is like priceless. Okay. Another way in which men activate safety for women is by providing presence. Presence is huge. And I think a lot of women miss this piece because they will choose a man who has money over a man who is present. And for me personally, I would never. I need a man who is present. I need a man who is around me physically. I need a man who will show up if I call him in an emergency. And don't get me wrong, like, that doesn't mean that I need to be around my partner 24/7. He travels for work. So when I met him, he was literally traveling every single week. But every weekend, without fail, he would come home, you know? So I'm not saying that a man needs to be present 24/7, but I mean that when it really counts, when it really matters, when you're going through something and you need him there physically, he's not gonna make an excuse. He's not gonna be like, well, I can't make it, or, you know, work is more important. He is going to put you above all of those other things and give you presence, because presence is so vital in our lives as women. I don't think men realize how safe we feel in a man's presence. It's like automatically we know that we have this person next to us who is the stronger gender, and we have them and they're on our team, they're on our side, they're on, they're in our group. And so that naturally gives us safety. That naturally provides this sense of comfort, this sense of, peace, that we can kind of take a deep breath and not have to worry about our surroundings or what's going on, because we know he has our back. Presence is shown through consistency and through showing up. One way in which my husband showed his presence, proved his presence to me, this was before we were married, before we were even engaged. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend. I had done the silliest thing. We were in our old apartment and I was trying to be cute and I was doing a little ballerina spin. Clearly I was out of shape, because after trying to do a ballerina spin, I just landed funny and I ended up crushing my foot and breaking my foot in 3 places. I had never broken a bone before. And at this point I was 24 years old. So I had gone from never breaking a bone to breaking 3 bones like in an instant. I was like, look, honey, let me do this. And then it was horrible. And in that moment, my husband showed up for me. My then boyfriend, my now husband, showed up for me like a saint. He got the ice ready. He propped up my foot. He was ordering the crutches before I could even say anything. He was checking to see where we could get an x-ray. We lived on, I believe, the 2nd floor at that time in that apartment building. Because my crutches hadn't arrived on time, he would literally carry me on his back to take me down the stairs. He would pull the car up. He'd open the door. He'd make sure I was nice and safe in the car. And I had a business at that time, and my business was a baby. Like, it was only a year old. He would drive me to my clients' homes, okay, which was like 30 minutes out of the way for him. He would drop me off there, make sure I got to the house with my crutches, and at the end of my session, he'd be waiting for me right outside. He never mentioned that it was an annoyance, that it was, out of his way, that he couldn't handle it. He showed me how present he could really be when literally almost nobody else showed up for me. I mean, besides my mom, she's always showing up for me all the time. But I'm telling you, other family members, they're like, hope you're feeling better. Didn't get anything from them. Friends, there were friends who didn't even care to show up for me. I had one friend, shout out to her, Alondra, I love you. I still remember she came over to my house, brought all her ingredients over and cooked me and my husband a meal. And that's a love language right there, is when you are down and out, you literally have broken something, you can't move around, you are, immobile, and you see who truly shows up for you, who truly cares for you, who truly is willing to do the shit that no one else really wants to do. That is true love, is presence in good and bad, is presence when you're having a meltdown, when you're having a stressful day, when you're just going through it. That shows that a man is willing to be there to support you through rain, through the shine and the rain, And so his presence during those times was so vital, and it taught me that I can be safe. I am safe. I have this man in my life. I can depend on him. Even if my foot isn't working, I can depend on him. I know that he has my back. I know that he's looking out for me. He was literally like getting me in and out of the shower. It was just heroic. And I completely am forever just going to thank him for that. Because let me tell you, there are husbands who would not do that for their wives. There are moms who wouldn't do that for their daughters. There are people who wouldn't do that for someone that they consider a best friend. So I don't care what you're doing, on my best day, but are you present and showing up for me with your love, with an open arm on my worst day, on my worst week, on my worst few months, That is what truly matters. And so that totally activated safety in my soul. It made my nervous system calm down. It made me regulate myself. And I knew that, hey, no matter what happens, I know that I can count on this man. The next thing that men do to activate safety is they have a level of steadfast strength. This is a term that I use all the time. I use it to describe my husband, and I always use the symbol of a pillar, a column. Think of one of those columns like in the city of Rome. They are so sturdy. They are able to withstand all types of weather, all types of, debris, all types of deterioration. They are still standing strong. That activates safety in a woman because women are not as strong, unfortunately. Like literally, we don't have as much bone density. We don't have as much muscle mass. We just are the weaker sex when it comes to our physical makeup. And even when it comes to our emotions, our hormones are all over the place. We go through a lot as women. Our bodies are, going through a cycle every month. And so there is a lot going on with a woman that is so up and down. It's very volatile. And so you want a man who is strong, who has a steadfast strength, and you can lean on him during those times. He's not going to falter. He's not going to crumble. He is going to be that strength for you and radiate that strength to strengthen you. There are times when I am just going through it. I'm like, I don't know, I'm stressed out, I'm worried, I'm blah, blah, and all I need to do is look at my husband and literally it calms me down. He is so composed. We can be going through a disaster and he literally will be like expressionless on his face. He is so calm in his nature and in his demeanor, and I find that so attractive. It is like the sexiest thing because let me tell you, I have been around men that have more emotions going on than an average woman. Okay, some of these men are in my own family, and there's a lot of stuff going on where they're aggressive, they're violent, they're emotional, they have all these things going on, and then you're like, whoa, wait, if I need to be the one taking care of you, who's taking care of me, right? So I always think of it like a man is not only providing for you and protecting you financially, but emotionally. And he does that by remaining steadfast in his strength, by being unwavering in good times and bad. When you are perhaps grieving, and just simply having him next to you and seeing how composed he is and how much he's able to withstand challenges and conflicts, that gives you more strength. So that is just absolutely amazing. I commend men for that, and it really helps us women to feel more safe. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is dotting I's and crossing T's. So basically, he's filling in the cracks. He is catching the areas in which you are not observing. Okay, and I have a few examples. So the first one I can think of is a month or two ago, we had some workers in our house, and my husband had to run and get something from the store. And so I had made a comment to him like, oh yeah, I'll be here, go ahead, get whatever you need from the store, I'll be here at home. And he goes, babe, I'm not leaving you here with 4 workers. And it was so funny because it dawned on me, like, I would have never even thought about that. Like, it's not that he doesn't trust those men, but in his, head, he's thinking, I'm not going to leave behind my wife with just these men who we had met that day, right? It's not like we have some long-term, relationship with these guys. They hadn't built trust. We had literally just met them an hour ago. My husband was able to notice areas in which would have just flown right over my head. Because as women, sometimes there's so many things going on in our head. What's for dinner? What do we need to get from the store? Did my husband eat? Is the laundry done? Did I fold it? Did I put it back? I need to call my friend back. Oh, I have a work email. So we have so many things in our head sometimes that we forget a glaring risk staring at us in the face. This happened to me in college when I was selling a few items of furniture, and I was having one of the buyers just meet me inside the apartment to pick up a mattress, and I forgot who it was. It was one of my guy friends, or maybe even my roommate at the time, who was like, "You're gonna let them come in the house? Are you by yourself? Like, do you have anyone there?" And I was like, no, duh. I didn't even think that something bad would happen in that situation. And I always love to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I always just pray to God and thank Him for protecting me and keeping me safe in any and all environments. So I do feel pretty confident and safe for the most part, but it's just great that there are men in this world who will be willing to look ahead, to think ahead, to find the areas in which you're not seeing the risk, and they'll be able to see it, and they'll be able to have your back, right? So in that moment, I was like, my husband was looking out for me. God forbid if he were to go to the store and something were to happen for me, imagine how heavy that would weigh on him, right? And for him to be thinking like, I'm not leaving you here with these guys, like, it just gave me peace. Like, oh, I'm glad that I have a man who's thinking like that, who's has my back, who wants to ensure that I'm safe, that I'm with him, that I'm not surrounded by strangers, in my home, and that I feel discomfort. So it's amazing when men are able to pick up on those things without you even needing to ask, without you even realizing it. That truly does activate a sense of safety for a woman. The other story that I have is something that my dad did. So when I was young, my dad had bought my sister a used car when she turned 16. And so when I turned 16, he bought me a used car. And so he had sent me a picture of it, and I was so excited, like, I was happy to get anything at that point. And I didn't care it was used. I didn't care about any of that. I cared that I would have a car and I could get places and I wouldn't need to ask for a ride. And I remember, like, there was a day where my dad was going to pick me up, or he was going to bring me the car, something like this, and my dad ended up saying, nope, no, Baba, I'm giving the car away. And I was like, what do you mean? And he ended up telling me that although he had checked the car and all that when he bought it, he had driven it a few times and he heard a sound or something like that, and he came to the logical conclusion that this car would not be safe for me. That perhaps it would drive, today, this week, this year, but looking down the line and looking at my future and knowing that I'd be going off to college soon, he did not feel comfortable with me taking that car there. And so, of course it was bittersweet because I thought I'd be getting a car immediately, but the fact that my dad was thinking about me and my safety and really, dotting the I's and crossing the T's to make sure that I would be safe and that he would be getting his daughter a car that was reliable and dependable and, something that he could sleep better at night knowing like, okay, I got her a car that's functioning and there isn't anything wrong with it, that activated a level of safety in me, and it made all the difference. It made such a difference because I know friends who their dads didn't get them cars, and so I already felt privileged to be getting a car, but the fact that my dad was ensuring that the car was, having all the safety standards met just meant so much to me. So That was amazing. The last thing that I want to talk about is men as an energetic shield. Okay, so just having a man in your field protects you. Think about it. Men go to war to protect women and children. They are literally, risking their entire lives, their entire bodies, everything to protect us. And so having a man next to you acts like an armor. It's so beautiful and it's so special because, like I said earlier, I think when I was talking about a man's presence, something about just having a man next to you makes you feel so safe. And so the story that I want to share about this energetic shield concept was when I was very young. My parents were divorced at the time, living separate, and my mom, my sister, and I all lived together. And so when we would go on vacations, this was like before Uber and before all of that. So we would typically order this airport shuttle that would pick us up, and it would pick like different people up, and kind of like a carpool situation. Think like a big van, and it would take all these people to the airport. And every time we had a trip and, we would take this shuttle, this is like it's something that stuck with me for so long. So what would happen was, the driver would help us with the luggage or whatever, and then my mom would say, "Girls, go say goodbye to your dad." And like the first time I was like, what the hell is she talking about? Because my dad was not living with us. My dad and my mom were divorced. He lived, let's say 15 minutes away. And then later when I asked her why, she would say, "People then know not to mess with our house because your dad is home." And so even if the driver would ask us like, "Oh, are all you guys going on vacation?" My mom would say, "Oh no, my husband, he's back at the house, he couldn't take off from work." And as a kid, I don't think it really soaked in. Like, I don't think I really understood why she would say that. Like, in my head, I'm like, "Mom, why are you lying?" But now I get it. It was that principle that when people think that there is a man at a house, they don't really want to mess with it, Like, let's say that driver had ill intentions and was like, "Oh, that house is going to be empty, Like, maybe I could get something there. Maybe I could rob it." It was the fact that my mom simply saying, "Oh no, my husband's there. We have an energetic shield there." It was as if that protected our home. That even just saying that, even if that wasn't the case, even if there was no man there, just saying that acts as a shield. And you see this all the time. When you go out to bars or clubs or lounges and a guy comes up to your friend and he wants her number or whatever, and she says, "Oh no, I have a boyfriend," but maybe she's single. And it's because men are energetic shields. Men act as armor. Men protect us. Men provide this sense of like buffer to where we know we can go out in the world, and if we have a man beside us, even just the idea of having a man or the lie of having a man sometimes acts as protection. And I think that is so profound. It shows how much men should be valued and honored and appreciated. Men give off so much safety to those in their lives, to those that they love, and it really shouldn't go unnoticed. I am deeply grateful for the men in my life, my dad, my husband, and I know that being in their circle, being in their sphere, just protects me. And beyond that, I know being under God's watch and God's protection and God's love is the ultimate form of shielding, is the ultimate armor, is the ultimate protection. And so I absolutely think that yes, men can help a woman feel more safe, and it is actually their duty to do so. So I hope that this video was helpful. If you're a man, please comment down below. Let me know what you think, because I definitely want your thoughts. And I'd just love to hear from you guys what you guys think about this concept. If there are any other ways in which men help us feel safe, feel free to comment that down below. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to do so. There are 10 times as many people who view my videos than those who are subscribed. So if all the people who viewed subscribed, we'd be at like 30K subscribers, and I would really love that. I'd be grateful for that. So make sure to subscribe. I love you guys, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.